So in the previous video, we created this chat part, and now in this part we are going to create this conversation component, in which first of all we are going to build this header, and then we are going to build this footer, in which we are going to actually create an input component. In the previous part, I also forgot to mention that we have to wrap this chat component and also this sidebar into inside one stack, so that these are aligned properly in a row. So let's see how we can achieve that. To create this, we need to navigate to this layouts folder, okay, inside our source directory. Then inside that we need to move into dashboard and then select this index.js file. Now once you are here, what we need to do, we just need to wrap all of the contents of this component inside a stack. Okay, so I'm just going to do exactly that. We need a stack here, and then we are also going to provide it a prop of direction equals to row. Okay, and I'm going to change this end tag as well. Okay, so now you can see that this sidebar and this chats component is now properly aligned. Now we need to start building this conversation component. Okay, so for that we need to navigate to the pages folder inside the source directory, and then go to dashboard, and inside that we are going inside general app. So this is actually the component that is responsible for rendering this chats component and also for the conversation component that we are going to build. So in order to align this chats and the conversation that is going to come over here inside a row, we will need a stack to be their parent. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to import a stack from the material UI library. Okay, just like this here, and wrap this chats and the upcoming component. I'm going to label it as conversation. Okay, inside a stack, and to that stack we are going to pass a prop of direction equals row. Okay, and also we need to provide it some styling. So I'm just going to use the sx prop, which is provided by again material UI, and I will give it a width of 100%. Now let's see if we can grab all of this space, okay, this white space that is visible to us. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a box component, which is much like a div, okay, simple container. So I have imported it from material UI, as you can see. Then I'm going to provide it some styling. Okay, so bear it with me. First of all, we need its height to be 100%, that means total height which is available to it, and then we want its width. I am going to use calc function here, because what we want is we need to acquire all of the available space, and I can write it as 100 VW, that means full browser width. Okay, and then subtracting from that this sidebar width and this chats component width. So as you know, in the previous part I have used the width of this sidebar as 100 pixel, and for this chats we are using 320 pixels. So in total 320 plus 100, that means 420 pixel is going to be removed from 100 VW or 100 view width. Then we can grab all of this width. So that's what I'm going to write here: calc 100 view width, okay, minus 420 pixels, right? Then just to see if this worked, I'm going to provide it a background color, and let's put it to black. Okay, and yeah, you can see that we have grabbed all of this space. Now we can start building those components inside here. Now I'm going to give it a background color of actually white. Okay, let's format it, and inside here we are going to actually put up a component which will be this conversation component. Okay, so let's now start building this conversation component. So I'm going to go inside this components directory. Okay, then I will create a folder named conversation. Okay, and inside this conversation I'm going to create an index.js file. Then I will create a functional component here. I'm going to name it as conversation. And let's now actually use this conversation here. Okay, let's import it. So now you can see we have imported it from the components directory here, and then we are using it, and the content of this component index is actually visible here. So let's now talk about how we are going to build this layout, in which we need this header at the top and then this space in between, and then again this input component at the bottom. So it's going to be pretty straightforward. We are going to wrap this and this conversation plus this input inside a stack. Let's start by using a stack component here. Okay, and to this stack I'm going to provide some props. First of all, height of 100%. Okay, I want it to take the full available height, and I'm also going to give it a max height. Okay, and the max height for this is going to be 100 vh, and then width for now I'm going to give it auto. And then inside here we will have our chat header. Okay, then here we will have our messages, and then chat footer. So let's now actually start by using a box component to denote this chat header as well as this chat footer. So to this box component I'm going to provide some props. Okay, and we also need to import it from the material UI library. So actually I'm going to give it a height of 100 and then width of 100%. Okay, these are just hard coded value. I'm going to remove it. I'm just using this to show you how it's going to look. Okay, and a background color. So we'll use some background color. For now I'm just using black, pitch black. Okay, and the same is going to be for footer. And now you can see that there is no space between header and footer. Okay, and all of this below space is empty. So now we are going to fix this by actually creating this messages box here. Okay, so I'll take a box component again here, and then I'll give it a width of 100%. Okay, then we need to apply some styling to it, so that's why I'm going to use this SX prop. And then since all of these are inside a stack, so I can give it a property of flex throw. So I'm going to give it a property of flex throw, and that will be 1. And now you can see that this middle container or this middle box has taken all of the available space that it can take. Okay, and now we are going to focus entirely on the header part and the footer part separately. So I hope this makes sense to you. Now I'm going to correct these colors again. In the header part, as per our design, I'm going to give it this color. Okay, and there is also going to be a box shadow. Okay, so these are the properties that we have provided. Okay, let's now see, and it's looking much better right now. Let's do the same thing for the footer part. So here we are also going to use the same property. So let's copy this background color and box shadow and give that here. Let's now focus on how we can render these components. Okay, this avatar with this badge icon. Okay, then this text and these icon buttons here. So that is actually going to be pretty simple. We just need a stack to wrap them all together. Okay, so I have taken it. Then we are going to provide it some styling. Let me explain it to you first. Since we need two things to be aligned at the extreme ends, so we are going to give it justify content space between direction row and align item center. Okay, let's do the same thing here. Align items center. Okay, direction row and justify content space between. Okay, and then we also need to do some styling here. So I'm going to provide some properties inside this SX prop. Okay, so the first thing is going to be width, which is going to 100%, and also height, which is going to be 100%. Okay, so after putting some content inside here, we are going to remove this hard coded height. Okay, that's why I'm providing it height and width right here. After we have placed the stack to group this left side and right side, let's now focus only on this part. So we have already did it. We just need to wrap this inside a box. Okay, this styled badge component, wrapping this avatar, and then we need to group these two typography components inside a stack and align them vertically. Okay, I'm just going to use a stack. Okay, and this is going to have a direction of row. Then let's give it a spacing of 2. Okay, then inside here we are going to use a box component. Okay, inside this I'm going to use a styled badge component. We are going to make it. Okay, and then inside that we will be rendering an avatar. So let's import it from material UI, and we'll be providing it alt and source prop that is going to come from faker library for right now, since we are building our UI part. Okay, so let's start by importing faker here. Let me move this react import. Okay, and then let's import faker from @faker.js. Okay, so we just need to write it here, and then we can use it inside our code. Faker dot I want an image, and I want an avatar image. Okay, and to this alt prop we can provide the person's name. So let's say faker dot name dot full name. Okay, just like this. Now we need to create this styled badge component. The styled badge component already in our previous part. Okay, so I'm just going to copy and paste it here, and then I'm just going to give a brief overview of. So as you can see, we created this style badge. Okay, now we just need few imports here. Okay, to make it work. So let's first import badge component from the material UI library, and then we are also going to import this styled. Okay, which is also going to come from material UI but from the styles module, and now it's better. So just like the previous time, we also need to provide some props here. Let me explain it to you quickly. So what this overlap is going to do, overlap circular. Let's save this and I can explain it to you on the UI. So as you can see, we got this avatar badge. Now you can see there is a cut. Okay, the place where they are overlapping, it's circular right there. So for that purpose, we have provided this overlap is equal to circular. And also, what is this anchor position? This is basically the position at which the circle center is going to lie. Okay, this badge center is going to lie. So we have defined it as vertically at the bottom and horizontally at the right. So that's why you can see this circle badge is present right here. Okay, and also its variant, which is dot, obviously. Now I hope you understand why we have did this. Okay, after this we need to use another stack inside which we are going to render the text. So I have used this stack. Then I'm going to give it a spacing of 0.2, which will be 0.2 multiplied by 8. Okay, then we just need typography component here because we need to render some text onto our screen. Okay, and then I'm just going to render a random name from the faker library. Okay, so let's write it like this. And also we need to write the online status. So if the person will be online, okay, it will be shown here onto the screen. Now we can use the variant prop to style these actually. So I'm going to give it a variant of caption, and to the name I'm going to give it a variant of subtitle too. Let's now see. And as you can see, we have this onto our screen, but we need to actually provide some styling to put it in a row. Okay, so let's see what we can do. So we just need to move this stack out of this box. Okay, and it will be fixed just like this. Let's also provide some padding so that there will be some space between this edge and this component. So I'm just going to give some padding to this box, which is actually the top level component of this chat header. So I'm going to give it a prop of p equals to 2. That means padding equals to 2 times 8 pixel or 16 pixels. And now it's nicely separated. So the next thing that we need to do is pretty straightforward. We need to render these icons and then this divider. Okay, and again this icon button. So we just need to go inside this stack which has this property of justify content space between. So let's find it. Yeah, it's right here. Then we need to use a stack to group all of those icons together. So I have taken this stack component here. Then I'm going to give it a direction of row, okay, and then align item center. And we also need to provide it some spacing so that there will be some space between those icon buttons that we are going to just render. Let's give it 3, that means 24 pixel for right now, okay. Then we will adjust it when we work on the responsive part, okay. and and then we are going to use this icon button component, okay. Icon button is basically going to allow us to click on these icons, and then we are going to render the icons actually. And for that you can write video camera, and it will be imported from first for React library, which is the icons library that we are using in this project. Let's now see what we get, and as you can see we get this video camera icon button, okay, and I can click on it. Similarly, let's render other icons as well. So I'm just going to paste it, and then we need this phone and search. So let's write phone, okay, which is going to again come from the Phosphor React, as you can see. And then there is a third icon as well before the divider, which will be magnifying glass. And magnifying glass is again an icon from the Phosphor React library. Let's see the result. Okay, and now we have these nicely separated icon buttons. Next we need to render a divider, okay, just like this vertical divider. So as I have already explained in the previous part, divider is also a component which is going to come from Material UI library. So it basically acts as HR tag in HTML, but we can customize it even more, okay. So here I've used this divider component, and now since we need it to be vertical, we need to provide it a prop of orientation, okay. So we are going to give it orientation vertical, and in order for this to work we also need to provide it a prop which is a boolean prop flex item, okay. So flex item must be true and this orientation must be vertical. Let's now see, and as you can see there is a very faint line here, okay. This is the divider that we have just rendered onto our screen. After this, similarly we can render this caret icon, okay, or this down arrow icon. So I've just used this icon button again. Then we are going to write here, we are going to write the icon's name here, caret down, okay, which will be imported from the Phosphor React, as you can see here. Let's save this, and now we got this caret icon as. Let's now also remove the height that we have hard coded for this chat header, and now you can see we have chat header. Let's now see how we can build this import component along with this send icon button, okay. So we have this chat footer, okay, this box. Inside this we need to group these two things together, this send button and this input together. So we are going to use a stack component, okay, to group them inside a row. So the first thing that comes to our mind is to provide it a prop of direction and give it a value of row, okay, and that's correct. After that we also need to provide it align items property, okay, this is going to be center, and we also need to give it some spacing. So let's give it a spacing of 3, okay, that means 3 times 8 pixels, 24 pixels. Let's now see how we can build this input component. So for this we are going to use this text field component, which is coming straight from Material UI library, as you can see here, okay. And this can actually give us an input component. As you can see here we have got this input. Now we need to actually style it, okay, and provide it some props to make it look like just as we want here. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to convert it into a style component, okay. So let's name it a styled input, okay. Then we are going to use this styled from Material UI styles module. Then we need to pass the component that we want to style, that is text field here. Then we can destructure this theme, okay, right, like this, and then we can return this object, okay, which will basically contain all of the properties that we want to be implemented on the text field component. So we just need to customize one property, okay, and that is contained inside the class MUI input base input. Okay, so we can just inspect the element that is rendered here, and then we can get input element using this class. Okay, so that's why we have written it like this. And then I just need to provide it some padding from top. Okay, so I'm going to give it a padding of 12 pixel from the top and the same from the bottom. Okay, so let's write it like this just to be clear. Okay, otherwise you can also use the sort end property here. So let's now use this styled input in place of this text field. Okay, then we are going to provide it some props, and the first one is going to be full width. That means we want it to take full width available to it. Okay, so after we have done that, you can see that it's now taking full width. Then we can provide it a placeholder, and inside placeholder I'm going to write a message. Okay, so this will be our placeholder. After that, we also want to provide it a variant. So variant will be filled. There are other variants inside material UI, one of them is filled. So we want this variant, and we also want to remove this underline. Okay, so for that we need to use something called input props. Okay, which is again a prop, and it's going to take an object inside it, and we can write here disable underline. Okay, this is actually coming from the material UI documentation. So we have written this property disable underline, and let's see its effect. Now you see the underline is gone. Okay, let's now also remove this height of 100 that we have given to the box. Okay, for this chat footer, as you can see, there is no padding here, so we are going to provide it to this box, which is the parent of this footer. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a padding of 2, that means 16 pixels, 2 times 8 pixel. Okay, and now it's actually looking pretty good. So the next thing that we need to do here is we need to provide this link icon at the start and this emoji icon at the end. So what we can do here, there is something known as adornment. Okay, so these icons or any of the component that we can place at the start of an input and the end of an input, they are known as adornment. So we are going to use this property which is available inside this input props. Okay, so I'm going to write here start adornment. Okay, then you can use this input adornment component, which is again provided by the material UI. And if I wrap an icon inside here, then it will be visible at the start. Okay, since we want our icon to be clickable. Okay, so I'm going to use here icon button component from the material UI. Okay, which will allow me to click on the icon, and this icon's name in Phosphor React is link simple, so I'm just going to call it that. Okay, and you can see we are going to import it from Phosphor React library just like that. Let's see the impact. Now you can see we got this nice icon button at the start, and in the same way we are going to put an emoji icon at the end. Okay, so for that we just need to change one thing, and that is we need to replace this start with end, and that will do the job. And the next thing that we also need to do is to change this icon. So here the icon name is going to be smiley. Okay, it's going to again come from Phosphor React. We have imported it, and now you can see we have got this emoji icon at the end as well. Now we need to render this send button. Okay, so to render that send button, we can just implement a box, because as you can see, again we have the requirement to provide some background color, and inside that box we are going to render this icon button. Okay, so let's use a box component here, and then we are going to provide it some styling. First of all, I would like to give it a height and width. Okay, so let's give it a height of 48 and width of 48 as per our design. Okay, Figma design. And then we also need to provide it a background color. So the background color is basically our theme's main color. So I'm going to write here theme dot palette dot background. Okay, it's again coming from our theme dot palette dot primary dot main. Okay, so this is the main color of our primary palette. We also need to write this theme here. Okay, so we can get the theme using this use theme hook, which is again provided by the material UI styles module, as I have already told you in the previous part. So let's write it just here. Okay, save this, and now you can see a blue box appearing here. Okay, we just need to provide it some border radius as well. So again, I'm going to give it another styling, and that will be border radius, and its value is going to be 1.5, because 1.5 is going to translate into 1.5 multiplied by 8, and that is 12 pixels. Okay, so now we have this nice border. Okay, and the next thing is to actually use the icon button component and put a icon button of this paper plane. Okay, so you can find this icon using the name paper plane tilt. Okay, in Phosphor React library. So I'm just going to write that paper plane tilt. Okay, it will be imported from Phosphor React library. Okay, paper plane tilt you can see here from the Phosphor React library. Let's save this, and now you can see we have got this icon here, but it's not actually visible properly, and also it's not at the center of its box. So to center it, what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap it inside a stack. Then I will give this stack full width. Okay, and then I'll ask this stack to properly align its children at the center. So let's see how we can achieve that. I'm just going to use this SX prop, and then I'm going to give it height of 100%. Okay, and again width of 100%, and then we can say align item center, and also justify content center. Now you can see this paper plane icon is at the center. It's properly aligned. We just need to change its color. Okay, so to change its color, we can just give the color prop here, which is available right inside this icon component. Okay, and then we can pass this white color to it. Okay, so now it's better. Let's now also fix one last thing, and that is the color. Okay, so let's just also make it theme aware. So for that, what I'm going to do, we have used this conversation component inside the general app. Okay, we have used this conversation component inside the general app. So we just need to change the background color starting from here. For that, we would need access to our theme. So let's get it here. Const theme is equal to use theme. Use theme is going to come from the material UI styles module. Let's import it. Okay, use theme from @MUI/material/styles. Okay, and then we can use this to write a condition here. If theme dot palette dot mode, okay, if it's light, then I want to use this white color. Otherwise, I want to use theme dot palette dot background. Okay, dot default. Let's see. Now if I switch the theme, you can see we get a different color here, and we want to do the same here with this header and this footer. So let's get it quickly done. So I can write the same condition here in this chat header box. Okay, so let's grab it from here. Okay, and then I just need to replace that white color with this one, and we are also going to change it from default to paper. Now it's looking good. Let's do the same with the footer. Okay, so this is our chat footer, and this is the background color that we are giving it. We are just going to change it. Okay, add this condition here, format it, and let's see. And we have got this as per our theme. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Okay, In the next part, we are going to implement how we can open different tabs, okay, by clicking on this link button, and how to open the emoji pack, and how to open the menu, okay, things like that. And then we will be going on to the part in which we will be rendering different kinds of messages in this window. I hope you are as excited as I am to continue this series. Make sure to like this video and also subscribe to the channel to support this kind of content, and also share it with your friends. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching this.